What's up, everyone? And today I'm doing a deck profile on my Traptrix. Now, Traptrix recently got a structure deck, was really cool. Really liked it. Had some pretty good cards in it, and obviously I do like Traptrix. It's a pretty fun deck, and the new support in it is actually pretty good. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, I run 3 Traptrix Murmillo. Murmillo, when it is normal summon, you can add one whole normal trap from your deck to your hand, and if this card is special summon, you can target one spell trap card your opponent controls, destroy that target. So it's a little bit of disruption when it's special summon, but you don't really do a whole lot of special summoning from like the deck. In this deck, it works very weird. You more or less want it for the normal summon to grab one of your whole normal traps. Also run 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis. Mantis is pretty good when it's normal summon. You can add one Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. So while Murmillo adds you a whole normal trap, Mantis can grab you a Traptrix monster, which can definitely be pretty good because that can get you into the Arachnocampa or the Vesculo. And as an additional effect, which doesn't really come up like almost at all, you can target one set spell card spell trap you control, return to the hand, then set one spell trap card from your hand. So basically you can swap, but not really much of a point in doing that. Next, I run 3 Traptrix Pudica. Pudica is pretty cool. First, when it's normal summon, you can add one Traptrix card from your deck to your hand, which is the field spell. And when it is special summoned, target one special summon monster your opponent controls, banish it. Although during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters. But it's not really too much of a downside. It really depends on what you use it on. If you use it on a monster that can only use this effect when on their turn, then that's good enough. Also run 3 of the Arachnocampa. Now, Arachnocampa, you don't really special summon from the deck because it has an effect too. If you control a Traptrix monster, quick effect, you special summon this card from your hand. Although it does have a restriction that when you do this, you cannot special summon except insect or plant for the rest of the turn, which really isn't too much of a hindrance. Now, if you're going second or like you're on turn 3, then it can hurt a little bit because then you can't go into access code or push for game through other ways. Also run 2 Traptrix Dionia. Dionia has when it's normal summoned, you can target one Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and when it's special summoned, you can target one whole normal trap in your graveyard set to your field, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn. Also run the 1 Vesculio. Vesculio comes up sometimes, depending on what else you have in your hand. So basically special summon Vesculio from your hand by sending one trap you control, or one set spell trap you control to the graveyard. Now if you have, let's say, the Holatea, then that's definitely pretty good because I can get that card into the grave, which is what you want. Also run 3 Ash Blossom for my hand trap of choice. Moving on to spells. I don't run many, but I do run 3 Trapentizing Tune. Discard one level 4 insect or plant monster or one normal trap, draw 2 cards. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one of your banished level 4 insect or plant monsters or normal traps, place it on the bottom of your deck. So it's a little bit of recovery, but you mainly want it for that draw power. Now it can conflict with the 3 Pot of Prosperity that you run, but not really all that much. More or less what I want to have by running 3 of each is that way I'm always going to have either, at least in most scenarios, I'll have at least 1 Prosperity or 1 of the Tune. Also run the 1 Traptrix Garden. Traptrix Garden is pretty cool. During your main phase, it's essentially a double summon. You can normal summon 1 Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summon. The first time each insect or plant monster you control is destroyed by the card effect. It is not. Then you can banish one card you control, special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your hand or graveyard. So that can be pretty good. Like let's say, for example, you have Rafflesia on the field and it's your turn. You can use that, send the Rafflesia to the field to, say, special summon. It's really situational, but let's say you want to special summon the Pudica to pop one of your opponent's monsters, or not really pop, banish. Also run the 2 Foolish Barrel of Goods. It's actually one card that I don't see a lot of people running in this deck, although now is definitely a card you want to run, more or less because of the Holatea. Moving on to traps. First, I run 3 Holatea. Now Holatea, you can actually activate it to turn it a set by discarding 1 normal trap, special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster. Now that effect's pretty good, but I like the secondary effect much more, and that's why they run the Foolish Barrel of Goods. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So it can become kind of like a monster reborn in a way. which is definitely really useful. Let's say you got an opening hand that you got your Sarah and one other monster on the field. If you have this in your graveyard, then you can just grab another monster from your graveyard that you can go into rank 4, which is definitely very important. Now I run a bunch of 1-ups for the trap holes. The one bottomless, the one trap hole nightmare, 1 time space, 1 floodgates, and 1 Gravediggers trap hole. I don't run a whole lot of the trap holes just because you don't want to like see a whole lot. Then again, they are searchable. Like you can search it off of Armelio, you can search off of Diarnia if you special summon it while it grabs back from grave. Mantis can search you into a monster, which means you can then go into get another. You have multiple ways to get to your trap holes, especially with Sarah. Also run the 2 Ice Dragon's Prison. Just a pretty good normal trap effect, which is pretty solid. Now, you could also probably do other options like maybe more Floodgate, like let's say maybe Goes a Match or something like that, but I feel Ice Dragon's Prison is the best just because of the this one. Pingucula? A really weird name, but that card works with normal traps, and since Ice Dragon's Prison is normal traps, the Pingulica kind of works like a Labyrinth in a way, to where the Labyrinth monsters gain effects when monsters leave the field by normal trap effect. Also run 3 evenly matched, in case I'm going second, as well as 2 copies of the Infinite Impermanence. Moving on to the extra deck. I run 3 Traptrix Sarah. I wish I had the secret rare, but unfortunately I don't. Traptrix Sarah is really good. It's a link 1. So basically, if you activate if a normal trap card is activated, you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than the card you control. And if the Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can set 1 whole normal trap directly from your deck. So normal trap, special monster. Traptrix monster effect, set a trap hole. Now the first effect is what you're going to be using more often. Although the second effect does come up sometimes, more or less because if you're going first, you're going to go into this and activate Traptrix monster effect, usually whether it be Vesculio or the Arachnocampa, which you can then grab one of your trap holes like Bottomless or Floodgate, depending on what you're going against. Also run the 1 Kularia. Kularia I don't really go into as much anymore. More so just because with some of the new support, Kularia isn't really needed as much. So the cool thing with Kularia is the first time a whole normal trap card is activated, you can set it instead of sending it to the graveyard, which is definitely pretty cool. Although since we're playing less of the trap holes, it's not gonna come up as much. And during your end phase, you can target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. Also run the 1 Traptrix Adipus. Now this card is actually pretty good, and it's a link 3, which is pretty important. Definitely helps with climbing into access code. So while you have a normal trap in your graveyard, once per turn you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect and plant monsters you control. Negate their effects until the end of the turn. Then you can apply this effect. Banish a normal trap from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy 1 of those targeted face-up cards. And that is only a soft once per turn. So let's say for example you got the Holatea. You can banish it to special summon the Adipus back from your graveyard once you go into the access code to use this effect again. So between that and the access code, you can clear quite a bit. I run 2 of the Pingulica. I don't know how it's pronounced. While this card has material, it is unaffected by trap effects and the activated effect of other monsters with the same type. Which is definitely pretty cool because like Traptrix do have some resistances, although it's mostly to the whole normal traps. But some of them have are just unaffected by traps in general, which could definitely be pretty good if you're going up against Labyrinth. So first, you can detach 1 material from this card, add 1 Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, and if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can attach 1 of those monsters to this card as material. That's why I run the Ice Dragon's Prison. Since Prison is a normal trap, it just triggers the Prison effect. Then you can take that card and it becomes the material for the Pingulica. Also run 2 Rafflesia. What you want to end on is basically Sarah and Rafflesia is what you mainly want to end on. If you have that and a couple of trap holes, I'd say you're pretty well set. Mainly because Rafflesia, you can send a whole normal trap to the graveyard, and Rafflesia essentially gains that effect whenever the condition is met. So whenever you can activate a bottomless trap hole, you can send a bottomless trap hole, and Rafflesia becomes a bottomless trap hole. Also run the 1 Alamaris. Honestly, Alamaris doesn't really come up as much anymore since we got the Pingulica. Alamaris, you can detach 2 materials from this card, special summon level 4 or insect plant monster from your graveyard, or like a Pingucula. If an opponent's monster leaves the field by because of your card effect and is on the graveyard or banished, you detach one material from this card, then target one of those, special summon it to your field. So it allows you to essentially take one of their monsters and add it to your field, which can be pretty good depending on what you're going against. You can end up taking their own access code, or let's say, I don't know, they got like a Zeus or something like that. You can just take that for yourself. Also run some pretty generic rank 4s like Time Thief Reader and the Evil Swarm Exciton Knight. Exciton Knight's good for going second to be able to just clear the boards. And I also run the one Divine Arsenal Zeus. So what do you think of my Traptrix deck? Think it's pretty good? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.